morning, everybody, and we are live. I'm excited. We got a lot to talk about today. They are wagging the dog. Remember that movie Wag the Dog, where they created the fakes and they try to, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. The Trump regime is in desperate trouble. It is failing on every front. It's collapsing right in front of us, just like we're watching Donald Trump die right in front of us. The Trump regime is literally collapsing on every front. So they are desperate and they are trying to pick fights anywhere they can to try to re-excite their miserable base. But we're going to knock it all down. Let's jump into it. Let's get after it. Good morning, everybody. I hope your coffee's as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's better. I really do. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're smiling. I hope your coffee is better than mine. I really, really do. I hope you're having a killer day because we've got some things to talk about, and there's some people that are actually really, really scared. Hantavirus. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Are you people scared? Are you worried? Are you afraid? Are you where are you at on this? Where are you at on the hantavirus thing? While your answers are coming in, I just want to, like I always try to frame things. I want to remind people social media for you and me and most people, we look at it as entertainment, fun. Some people look at it as news. Some people look at it. If you are a broligarch, it's a weapon. It is. It's a weapon for control. It is a way to inject narratives. It's a way to reach into people's homes like never before. Even more so, more effectively than owning and controlling newspapers or television shows. If you can control the narrative on social media, you can reach hundreds of billions of people worldwide. So yeah, I need you to keep that in mind while we move forward, while we talk about this. Most people are saying, no, they're not scared. They're not scared at all. There's a reason for that. I keep telling you, you're different. The audience here, you're a different demographic. You are more intelligent. You are more engaged. You can think critically. You can look at complex situations and understand the different complexities. You can look into gray areas and interpret what's going on. Most can't. Most can't. Most people just react. They react emotionally. They react, without thinking. And we've had hantavirus in the news recently. And it is being used. It's being weaponized. It is, you need to keep in mind, the Trump regime is in desperate trouble. And anything that the dark right can do to try to help them, to try to stave off this wave, this tsunami, this avalanche that's coming in the next elections, they're going to do. They're going to try. And they are weaponizing hantavirus. Right now, what's going on, what we know is there's a cruise ship, and we're gonna get into that and all the background, where it came from, what happened, because information is the best antiseptic. It is. It is the best antiseptic. Real information, and we're gonna breeze through this. But yeah, this is where we're at. The cruise ship, the MV Hondius, is uh, at the Canary Islands, and everyone's being evacuated. They're taking these images and they're creating AI images of it, actually, that look like something out of a CDC nightmare Hollywood movie, and they're trying to spin a narrative. But the narrative isn't that you need to be afraid of hantavirus. The narrative is that we're afraid of hantavirus. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. That's the narrative. Not that the right needs to be. This is what's coming out of the dark right, and it has taken. There is real traction there. That they're not afraid of the hantavirus. We are. And because we're afraid of it, we're going to react predictably, and there's going to be a shutdown. And we're already lining up for vaccines. Uh, just this entire fiction that's been created on the right wing, and it's spread beyond the dark right. It's spread beyond those pockets where they talk about this stuff, and it's moved into the clickbaiters. This is an account on Instagram. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not, but it's developed quite a following. And but this account is somebody that works for clicks, unabashedly works for clicks. It's an actor by the name of Patrick Cutler. You may recognize him from a few different. From He's actually been in movies and television shows and whatnot. But he addresses these different issues, and you notice that he's taken on hantavirus. This is one of his videos.
This can't be real. There's no way that this is real.
Yeah. The narrative is that Moderna has created a vaccine for hantavirus, and they did it years ago. And now they've done what they did with coronavirus, and they released it so that we'll all rush out and buy their vaccine. And they're already making money off of it, and their stock's gone up. And you and me are so terrified, we're literally lining up at our doctor's offices for the Moderna hantavirus vaccine. No, really, really. Read these comments. I'll actually read them to you if you can't see them. If you're watching on a phone, these comments are a little bit difficult to read, but these are the comments. Eric Scoff Stuff says, create a problem and sell the solution. Another scamdemic, says Timothy M. Brooks, and there are still millions who will line up for it. Helfrich Trish says, the sheep are already lining up for the experimental vaccine and boosters, DR Lawn Services says. DR Lawn Services being my go-to source for medical information, I have to tell you. Mitch Zeno by trees. I'm thinking probably another lawn service or arborist or something. They were planning the part 2 when we were all thinking about one and done, talking about COVID. Of course, you get the idea. You get the idea. Russell Kelpie. It's a sequel. So let me knock this down a little bit. Let me clear this up. First of all, hantavirus will never be COVID. There will never be a global pandemic involving hantavirus, ever. It's not medically possible. It's not. Hantavirus is already global. It is. but we don't vaccinate for it, and you're not going to get a vaccine for it because it is so incredibly rare. Even though it is global, it is so incredibly rare, we don't vaccinate for it. It is difficult to spread from human to human. It is not a coronavirus. COVID-19 was from the family Coronavirus. Measles, one of the most infectious viruses on the planet, is not of the same family. Hantavirus being hantavirus, it's a buntavirus. Measles is paramyxoviridae. It is a totally different family. Measles is so contagious that you don't even have to be in contact with the person that has measles to get measles. You literally, if you walk into a room hours after a person that had measles was in it, you can contract measles. In fact, it's a likelihood. That's how contagious measles is. Hantavirus, not so much. Not so much. It's really hard to get hantavirus. The way most humans get hantavirus is cleaning up mouse droppings or being bitten by mice. It's a zoonotic disease. It comes from predominantly mice. This is why I, if you watch the last show, I will say it again. If you have mouse droppings or rat droppings, don't vacuum them up. Don't. Your vacuum will aerosolize the virus if it's there. Cover the rat droppings with a paper towel. Wet the paper towel with a disinfectant. Use rubber gloves and a respirator mask, and then clean up the rat droppings. That's it. That's it. If someone has a Hanta infection, don't let them vomit on you. And if they do vomit on you, wash it off. If they vomit in your mouth, then yeah, by all means, seek medical attention immediately. But yeah, this is really fucking hard to spread. It will never be a pandemic. There isn't going to be a global vaccination effort or shutdowns or anything like that. But they're desperate to get their base hating again. And it's working. It's working. They're out there creating their own fictions, their own narratives. So let's talk about what reality is. Let's talk about reality. No, this is not. No. This is Andes virus. It's been around forever. You want to know how long this has been around? MASH. Remember the television show MASH? Remember MASH? This is the second episode they did on Korean hemorrhagic fever. That's hantavirus. That's hantavirus. Hanta has been around forever. The strain that these people have has been around forever. Andes virus is not new. It is not a new mutation. It isn't. So let's talk about what it is. Start with, this is where it all started. This is the MV Hondius. Oceanwide Expeditions, the cruise line Oceanwide Expeditions. This is their boat. And it actually looks pretty cool. You can go to the website here for Oceanwide Expeditions. This looks cool as shit. Let me tell you something, folks. This is not on the cruise line. I will tell you, this is not on the cruise line. It isn't. This is one of the fictions that's being pushed predominantly from our side. They're wanting to blame the cruise line because of this. Let me click out of this and I'll come back to it in just a second. This is why they want to blame the cruise line. Where are you? Where are you? I know I brought that tab up. I know I did. Do-do-do-do. 1 second. Just give me just 1 second. Here we go. Yeah, there it is. There it is. It was hiding from me. Too many tabs open. CDC's cruise ship inspectors laid off amid bad year for outbreaks. Okay. This is what you're seeing the clickbaiters on our side talk about. They're not talking about be afraid of hantavirus and all the other stuff that's going on the right that you just saw. This is what the clickbaiters on the left are talking about. This had nothing to do with what happened. Stick with me there. Stick with me. Stick with me. This is bad. This is terrible. This is awful. This is horrible that they laid off all of the cruise line inspectors because there are infections on cruise ships. There are. But it had nothing to do with hantavirus and it had nothing to do with the latest outbreak. This is a Danish cruise line. This is not an American cruise line. This boat does not hit an American port ever. Our cruise inspectors would have never set foot on this boat. So yeah, while I understand, hey, this is a good time to bring that up. I get that. I get that because that was a terrible fucking thing to do. The CDC cutting the cruise inspectors was a terrible thing to do. We didn't need to cut cruise inspectors. We needed to quadruple cruise inspectors. We did. That was just stupid on their part. But it had nothing to do with this at all. And people are using the fear for clicks. They are. So let's take a look at this. This is the MV Hondias. And I'm going to just do a free fucking commercial for them right now. I am. This looks freaking amazing. This looks freaking amazing. What the Hondias does is it does Antarctic cruises. I mean, this looks like a really cool freaking adventure, man. It does. It really does. Look at that. I mean, doesn't that just look amazing? Now, we don't know how this ended up with the cruise passengers yet. We don't. We don't know. We know where it came from, though. We know where it came from. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stick my neck out there and I'm going to say this had fuck all to do with the cruise line. Fuck all to do with the cruise line. This cruise line was just at the port of Usha. This is Usha. Go to the map. Go to the map. At the port of Usha. To give you an idea where this is the southern tip of South America. This is Argentina and Chile. Now, what mountain range is in Chile and Argentina? What famous mountain range, people, is in Chile and Argentina? And what strain of hantavirus is now in the news because of this cruise ship? It's not the Korean hemorrhagic version. It's not the Korean hemorrhagic version. Which strain of hantavirus, which has existed forever and been all over the world? The Andes strain. That's right. That's right, the Andes strain. Well, that makes sense if we look at the map, because this is the port that this ship just took off from. Usha. This is Usha. Usha. I know I'm mispronouncing that, and I'm sorry. Usha. It is right on the Drake Passage, that is some scary water, man. It really is. It is some scary water. It went from Usha, and by the way, here's the Andes Mountains. It went from Usha to King George Island, which is really freaking cool. This is King George Island. Cruised around the Antarctic Peninsula, then out here to the Sandwich Islands. What do the Sandwich Islands have to do with this? Absolutely nothing. I just like saying Sandwich Islands. Then it was going to make its way back to the Canary Islands anyways. That's where it was headed, because it's a seasonal change. It is a seasonal change. It is now winter in the Southern Hemisphere, and the Drake Passage is really freaking scary in the wintertime. It is one of the worst portions. Everything is funneled through this little gap. All the energy from the Pacific and the Atlantic smashed together here, and it is some of the worst storms. The Drake Passage is perilous, to say the least. But this port, Usha, is at the base of the Andes Mountains. You can see the topography here. This is ground zero for Andes hantavirus. And they were in this port. So, yeah, I'm suspecting somebody was doing their due diligence, cleaning up rat droppings, and these people got exposed to it. And then they got on the boat. Now, do you know what it's going to take to disinfect this boat from this absolutely? And I will tell you, Hanta is horrible. This is why I keep reminding you on how you're supposed to clean up rat droppings, and for you, and warning you, please do a Google search on how to clean. Don't just vacuum up rat droppings. This is a terrible, terrible virus. It is. This is what will happen if you get infected with hantavirus. You will go to the emergency room because your fever will get very high. You will have respiratory issues. But the version, and I want to remind you, I can't stress this enough, Hanta is global. Hanta is global. It is everywhere. That's going to be important here in a minute. It's everywhere. The version that's in North America tends to be more respiratory. It does. Now, hantavirus can be awful. It can cause internal bleeding. It can cause your organ failure. It'll cause it can cause really horrible things. Kidneys to shut down. The Korean hemorrhagic fever, that was a big part. If you remember watching MASH, they were watching the renal output because Korean hemorrhagic fever was causing kidneys to shut down. The North American variety, if you catch hantavirus, you're going to go to the emergency room, and they're going to look at you, and they're going to treat your fever, and they're going to tell you you got the flu, because they're not even going to test you for hantavirus. It is so freaking rare. They're not going to test you for it. They aren't. They're going to tell you you've got the flu. And they're going to give you pain reliever and fever reducer. And when that's under control, they're going to send you home. And then there's about a 50-50 chance you're going to die that night. It's awful. That's why people that are doctors are saying, look, this is no joke. You're not going to get it. This isn't going to be a global pandemic. But look, let's not make light of this. It's not a fucking joke. There is no treatment for hantavirus. None whatsoever. There's no Paxlovid. There's no nothing. All they can do is treat the symptoms. That's it. It's a bad virus. It is. but you're not going to get it. It is so rare. And even if you did get it, you would have to literally spit in the mouth of your family members for them to get it. You would have to curl up in bed with them. You would have to, yeah, they would have to come in to contact with your diarrhea. This is really fucking hard to pass. Okay? So this right-wing bullshit that they're spinning is literally fabricated bullshit that was injected into their atmosphere, into their community on purpose so that they can get revived about their whole COVID response. They can get all mad about COVID again. You notice all of their comments go back to COVID, which was fucking terrifying, which did create a global pandemic, which can be spread easily. Yeah. Tell them they were right. Tell them you're stupid. Make up a bunch of shit that you're supposedly doing, and then they'll forget that Trump's a fucking idiot and failing at everything. And I just showed you it's working. It's working. It's working. So here's the stupid fucking conspiracy theory you're going to hear from your drunk uncle. It's happening enough. This is Newsweek. It's happening enough that, people are paying attention. People are noticing. This is being spread all over the right. This is being put up as proof that it was all a scam because Moderna's stock is climbing. Why is Moderna's stock climbing? Well, back in 2023, they partnered with Korean University to develop an mRNA hantavirus vaccine. Why Korean University? Korean hemorrhagic fever. MASH, anyone? It's a disease that's been around forever. And yes, in Southeast Asia, they really have a problem with it. So in that region, they used Moderna's mRNA technology to partner with Korean University to come up with a vaccine. It makes fucking sense, right? If you're in an area where people actually get the disease, they may actually want a vaccine. Makes sense, right? Yeah, that has nothing to do with you. That vaccine is not coming to your neighborhood. It is not. It's just not. It makes no medical sense for you to go out and get a hantavirus vaccine. It doesn't. It doesn't. It would be like you buying insurance for the space shuttle crashing into your house. And the space shuttle doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it's really that remote. But yeah, Moderna created a vaccine, and look, their stock's going up. Of course it's going up. This thing is in the news. They've created a vaccine. Yay, science! For people that need it. You don't need it. But instead of just being, some back shelf thing that never reaches you, that you never hear about because it doesn't affect you, the right wingers are amplifying this like crazy. They're wagging the dog. They're wagging the dog because they need their people talking about this and scaring them and telling them that you're going to force them to shut down again. Their business is going to shut down. This is going to be COVID all over again. It's not happening. It's not happening. Let's catch up on some of these comments. See where y'all are at. Marshall Cash, good to see you. Billionaires are such fucking morons. I just saw where Trump lied again and said that the U.S. is expected to hear the peace proposal response from Tehran in the coming hours. We're going to talk about that. Put a pin in that. Stick with me. Standard Deviation gifted 10 memberships, folks. There's free memberships out there. Hit that join button. And if you're not if you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. We need to keep growing this platform so that we can keep good information out there. Tiny Dog Dragon gifted 10 memberships, man. That is super generous of y'all. Cassie Lake, keep democracy alive by keeping Paul's coffee cup full. Love from Canada. For Cajun John, viva la Habs. You Canadians, man, I love you. I really do. Y'all stick together, man. I love it. Michael Denome, I went back and watched your show from right after the election you started about them failing. Boy, you weren't kidding. I'm telling you. It was obvious who they were putting in place. They were going to be a failure. Jeremy Breeden had to watch the show on bunkers on replay. You mentioned Trackho. Give me a rotary rig generator and high flow water pump. Fill the void with the flaming moat water. Have Mountain Day. Yep. Yeah. That whole bunker mentality is just stupidity, man. Just stupidity. Dying Breed Garage. Hey, Paul, here with you. I refuse to live in fear. Me too, brother. Me too. Rockin' Ron. Thank you for supporting the show, Ron. Thank you for always being here, brother. DTQ. All right. New supporter there. That is a new name I don't see very often. Good to see you. That means we're going to be okay. As long as we get new people coming in, because the same old people can't continue to constantly carry the weight of everything. Seeing the new people means that we're going to survive. We're going to be okay. It makes me happy every time I see a new person. DTQ, I'm more worried about the Virginia Supreme Court. Yeah, I hear you, brother. I hear you. Cassie Lake, so desperate releasing UFO files. I know, right? I know. Anything but talk about their failures. Tiffany Nelms, good morning, Paul. Did we just lose our redistricting effort in Virginia? I haven't heard anything back yet, but no, I don't think we did. I don't think we did. 1 second. Oh yeah, looks like they ruled against us. That will have to be for Sunday's show because I haven't dug into it and I don't want to give you bad information. We'll see what they had to say. Randy Ryder, yes, the new virus is bad. So is the Iran war, but please keep on reminding folks, Epstein. Amen, brother. Amen. Because this is what it's all about. Trump is what he is. He is all over those Epstein files, and they want you to think about anything but what Trump is and the grifter, thief, sorry bastard that he is. Lily Wiggs, the Virginia Supreme Court ruled against the new redistricting map. Can the governor do anything? Yeah, we're not done. We're not done by a damn sight. We're not. I haven't read their ruling yet, so I don't want to comment too deeply. This came out after show prep this morning, so yeah, we will talk about this in depth on Sunday. If you follow my social media, after I get a chance to dig into it, we will absolutely, there will be social media posts about it. There will be. Kyra, the Chicken Little Party will try anything. Yep. New West Bill. I'm afraid of the Epstein virus. Amen. I hear you. Marshall Cash, you will probably blame Joe Biden for the hantavirus and they will say China sent it. No shit, right? No shit. Skeet Sayre, it comes from mice. Keep spaces clean. Yep. You know, these old hillbillies get it every once in a while. They do. Because you tend to store your feed out in a barn and mice love it. And you will get mice in there and they will get in there and they will, go to clean it out because you can smell the rat piss and they won't take proper precautions. And they will aerosolize it, breathe it in, And more often than not, just like I said, they will go to the emergency room with a super high fever. They'll say, oh, you've got the flu. They won't even test for hantavirus. They won't. Just rat COVID. You're killing me, brother. Rick, you're killing me. Pete, thanks for being so generous. Thank you for gifting the memberships. But yeah, more often than not, you never even get diagnosed with it because they don't look for it. But thanks for the fight. Thank you. Thank you. Skeet Sayre, ever read the book of how AIDS and Ebola were created for humans? Von Braun was not the only scientist giving leadership in U.S. tech. That is something that's been around forever. They actually have traced that, but they know exactly which chimpanzees that came out of. Pardon me, not chimpanzees, which monkeys that came out of. Some people are pushing that it could mutate. Yeah, I know they are, but it's not a coronavirus. Even if it mutates, it will not mutate into anything. It is a completely different shaped virus. It's not going to mutate into a coronavirus. It's not. It's a completely different function. It is not anywhere near as contagious as a something from Corona Verde, or there are way more infectious viruses out there. There are. Just talking about infection. Now, I'm telling you, once you get it, it's bad. It is bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making light of it. It is bad. But as far as being infectious, no, I'm not losing an ounce of sleep over this. Petrazi, I've enjoyed your show. Glad to be a member. I'm glad you're here, brother. Glad you're here. Skeets here. Cape Horn and Good Hope are why canals exist. Yeah. Yep. Chandra Patton, Trump MAGA idiots make me tired. I got Trump fatigue. We've got to clean house. Vote, vote, vote. Amen. Amen. ET. They will start selling silver-laced ivermectin to, they already are, to get the best of both remedies. Working against stupid is a constant job. Go local. Get involved. They are already, all the ivermectin people are already grifting off of this. I'm not kidding. You can go all over Instagram, and they are. Oh, buy my ivermectin. It's special ivermectin. Yeah. Crafty ass Gardner. Thank you for being here. ET, this is because when businesses close due to the economy, they can point to the hantavirus and claim it's doing of the demon Dems. Yeah, nothing is going to close because of Hanta. Nothing. Robert Guerrero, more concerned with the Trump Epstein files virus. Yeah, amen. Amen. Agent Cajun John, I have the canavirus, maple syrup, and the vaccine. Crafty ass Gardner, who wants to start a rapture hatch business with me? Bet we can make some money from these smooth brains by telling them they need a hatch above their bed in case their Lord calls them home. Yeah, their Lord calls them home. That, there are so many people grifting off of this, man. There are so many, and I mean, at the bottom rung are the clickbaiters, but yeah, there are people selling remedies, selling. I mean, it's bad. Your drunk uncle gets fleeced constantly. The Eldanes, welcome. Samita Fakeda, very generous of you. Thank you for gifting the members. There are free memberships out there. All you got to do is snatch them up. If you're not currently a member of the channel, all you got to do is take one of these free memberships, no charge to you. People just want you to have access to all the membership stuff. Disturbed in Ohio, should we invest in the ivermectin parent company? No shit. I hadn't thought about that. That might be a good stock to look at today. I don't know. McBash says, I've charged my financial advisor to corner the market on ivermectin distribution. Sabina Fakeda, out with the huge support, man. Wow. Very touching. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here, happy to learn new things, very happy to be a community member. Please encourage your friends and family to pick up a donated membership. Vote. Last one, and we got to get back to work. Veggie Allegro, H5N1 virus is hard to keep track of. Stupid Trump administration doesn't talk about it. I think they believe if they don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. I guess it's the same for every disease. Yeah. Yeah, amen. We're going to talk a little bit about that right now. Um, yeah, this is real. This is something that is actually fair game. You know, this scare is reminding people that they did this. Trump administration cut funding to study hantavirus, the virus behind the deadly cruise ship outbreak. They didn't just cut funding to study hantavirus. What they did was they cut funding to study zoonotic viruses, not just hantavirus. Hantavirus is a zoonotic virus. Scientists have figured this out. They know how this is going to work. We're not going to get it from a virus that's already in humans because we've already dealt with, although they're really trying to screw those situations over. But yeah, we've already dealt with those viruses and they're already tracked, they're already watched, they're already tested for. It's not going to be a virus it's going to be one of the viruses that are out there cooking in nature. It's going to be a virus that's transmitted from mammal to mammal that mutates, that we've never seen before, that we're not prepared for, that our immune systems are not prepared for. We're not looking for it. We don't know where it's coming from. They figured that out a long time ago. And the Trump regime absolutely slashed all the funding. Hell, they did it in the first term in the middle of COVID. This is from the release from Bernie Sanders. You know, I highlighted right here in the middle of the page, you see emergency and zoonotic infectious diseases, 85 million cut. This was during COVID. They did this during his first term. The second term with Doge, they made the cuts even worse. That's something to be scared of. That is something to be upset about. That's literally what you were talking about. If they don't talk about it, they're putting the blinders on. Forgive this ugly sketch. I'm cutting brush, so my arms are just covered in these things. I apologize. I know that's ugly to look at, but yeah, they really did that. They put blinders on. They told Mother Nature, have at it. We don't want to know it's coming. We don't want to do the studies. We don't want to follow. We don't want, we don't want to be aware. And that's terrible. It is. But as far as this attack on the cruise line there's nothing. Do you know what they're going to do to that boat? I want to put that to bed. Do you know what they're going to do to that boat to solve this problem? It's in the Canary Islands. People have visions of people, and this is really happening on right-wing media. With the CDC suits that plug into respirators, and they've got the hoses, the complete sealed suits that they wear. They envision they're going to go into this boat and they're going to somehow magically clean all the. No, they're not. They're going to park that boat. They're going to take all the humans off of it, and they're going to let it sit for 2 days. And that virus is going to die. That's it. That's all they're going to do. That's all it takes. No special disinfectant, no. This is not some hardy, be terrified of virus. It's not. It's just not. Now, you want to be scared of something on a cruise ship? Be scared of this. Be scared of this. This just happened. Disney cruise ship staffers among dozens arrested in child porn investigation. Yeah, that really happened. Don't be afraid of some virus. Be afraid of the people. Yeah, it's not just Disney. It's several cruise lines. This is actually a Filipino scandal. Apparently, there's some child porn CSA site, CSAM site out of the Philippines that these Filipinos were tied into on their phone, downloading these images, and they busted the site and they tracked these people to being workers on your cruise ship. So yeah, you want to be scared of something on a cruise ship? Be scared of the people. Just be smart. Don't leave your children unattended unaccounted for. Talk to your children. Be aware what's going on. Yeah, do that. Be smart. Be smart. Don't touch other people's spit. Don't touch other people. You know what I mean? Just be smart. That's all. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Just common sense stuff. But I want to talk about this wagging the dog. I really do. I want that to be the focus of today's show. There have been several things that have gone on that the Trump administration is desperate to try to get you to react to. They do. They want you to react to this so badly. And they're creating all kinds of fictions in there. You don't hear it because you're not in it. You're not in that right-wing bubble. So you don't hear the stuff that they make up about it. For instance, this right here. Did you know that you are outraged about this and having a fit and melting down because the Trump administration opens the entire coastal plain of the Arctic National ANWR, the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, to oil and gas leasing? Did you know that you're having conniption fits about that? That you're having mental breakdowns over that? Were you aware that you were doing that? I know I wasn't, but apparently we were. And Trump is, saving, drill baby drill, even though oil prices are astronomical right now and climbing because of his stupidity. Yeah, that's a thing. That is a thing. The reason you're not upset about it is because it was an utter failure. It was an utter failure. See, oil companies did the math, and the math doesn't math. So nobody bought the leases. But they're really desperate for you to get upset about that. They really are. Nobody bought the leases. Nobody bought. They were selling those leases for $25 an acre, and they couldn't give them away. They couldn't give them away. You had the environmental groups were really licking their chops, and they were really looking forward to this new fight in the Arctic, and they were going to raise a lot of money over all this drilling that was happening, and they had their parkas purchased and their cameras ready, and they were going to go take the pictures of all this spoilage in our pristine ANWR that you did. If I dropped you in the middle of ANWR, you would, after about 2 minutes, say, "What the fuck am I here for?" You would. This is not someplace you're going to go vacation. It isn't. It is inhospitable hell on earth, except for fire. It's ice. But you are melting down about this. You are. All right. Yeah. Right here. Here you go. Jennifer Ridgway, you live in Alaska. Tell them about the north coast of Alaska. Not a big tourist draw, is it? I mean, don't get me wrong. Alaska has some breathtaking scenery. I've been to Denali. I'm telling you, there are some beautiful places in Alaska. The North Shore, not so much. Not so much. Oh, man. But look here. Apparently, you're beside yourself in grief and upset and crying and desperately fighting Trump, because even though it's a miserable failure, they're doing it again. Why? The narrative. The narrative. They want the narrative. Look what we're doing. Even though oil companies have told you, we're not drilling up there. We're not. There are too many other places to drill. We're not drilling up there. We're not doing it. We're not buying the leases. This is not happening. But hey, they want the narrative. Not only do they want the narrative that, oh, look what we're doing, oil prices are super high, but we're really fighting to keep them down, even though we're the reason that they are high because of Iran, because we cut off 20% of the world's oil supply in a stupid fucking war for Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel. By the way, anybody seen Netanyahu for a while? That guy who loves the camera has fucking vanished. You ever notice Trump's all by himself on this? Yeah. Mm-mm. 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 Netanyahu's an idiot. He's an idiot, but he's not as stupid as Trump. He's not as stupid as Trump. That guy has vanished. But yeah, they want that narrative. And what they want more than anything is to pretend, and this is actually going to make the news, that you're really upset about this, man. You are. Environmental groups are going to file lawsuits. They're trying to stop us from drilling because they care more about polar bears than they care about you and putting gas in your diesel, your 1-ton dually pickup. Them damn liberals. When the reality is, if I hadn't shown you that, you'd have never known it was going to happen. You would have never known that new round lease sales was coming up if I hadn't shown you. We weren't going to talk about it. Nobody cared. It's a failure. The oil companies don't want to drill there. That's the story. But it's not the one they're injecting into the right-wing media. Remember, you're very upset about this. You're very upset about this. Your drunk uncle will confirm for you that you're very upset about this. The other thing that you're just dying over is this. Remember, we talked about the Rice's whales, and this is a goddamn shame. It really is. This is the whole story. We talked about this in a previous show, but since we're talking about wagging the dog, we're gonna talk about this one more time. The Rice's whale. There were 100 of them in the world. Now there are 50. The reason there are now 50 was this happened. This happened. Deepwater Horizon. Now look, they put together their God squad and they said, we're no longer going to protect these people. We're no longer going to protect these I said people, these whales or any of these creatures. We're rolling back the all of the regulations. You want to know what those regulations are? You know what they did when they did this? What they said oil companies no longer have to do. And before we get into that, I just want to remind you, um, Deepwater Horizon was not a failure. It was a success. It was a success. It was an exploratory well they were drilling, and it was successful. They proved that they found oil. Now, were they able to set up were they able to pump? No. In that aspect, it failed. But they proved the oil was there. They were drilling in a region known as Macondo. That's this red area here. This is where Deepwater Horizon was. Do you know what all of these other things are? These are fields. That's the Macondo prospect right here in red. Every one of these in blue are fields that have come online since Deepwater Horizon. Everyone in blue: Balboa, Great White, Tobago, Cardamom, Jack, St. Malo, Tahiti, Caesar Tonga, Atlantis, Shinzi, Tubular Bells, Thunder Horse, Mars B, Appaloosa, Callisto, Dalmatian, Dalmatian North, Chinook. These are all fields that have come online. And by come online, I mean a rig was towed out there. They did the drilling, and the wells are pumping and producing. The ones in green that you see on this map, those are coming. See, they're not going to drill up in the Arctic. They're going to drill right here. And they were already drilling there, had the money allotted, set aside before they did what the God Squad did. They call them the God Squad because they're playing God with creatures that are about to go extinct. See, the thing that this horrid regulation that they were stopping was ships had to slow down in this region. Yeah, they had to slow down. Why? Whale strikes. Whale strikes. It happens every once in a while. Ships run into whales and kill them. In and of itself, not a huge problem. It's just an accident. It's a tragedy. But when you only have 50 left, you tell the ships, hey, you got to slow down. When you're in their region, you got to slow down. They also said, if you have a whale sighting, you've got to divert course, and you have to give the whales a wide berth. Go around them. Don't drive through them. That's it. That's the kind of regulation that they just said was too much. It was just too much. It was burdening. But you see, it wasn't burdening them because, yeah, they've been developing these fields. Macondo Prospect, the well that they were drilling, Deepwater Horizon was drilling. This was a success. They now know where the oil is. And they're drilling, baby, drilling. And this is the other regulation. And this is the one that might actually make you mad. This one will, not might, this will make you angry. This will. Because it's unnecessary. You see all of those fields that they developed, that they've drilled in. There are pipelines running across the ocean floor, pumping oil out of Rice's whales, not right whales, Rice's. RICE apostrophe S, Rice's whales. I see your question. I read your comments during the show. I do. I see what you're saying. But this is going to make you angry. This is. This is how they get seismic charts on the ocean floor. This thing right here. And the way it works is they pump 2,000 to 3,000 PSI worth of air into this thing. And they take it down to the ocean floor, hang it right over the floor, and boom, let all that air go at once. You see, when you have an explosion, what you're hearing isn't the burning of the powder or whatever, the C4 or whatever. It's the air moving is what you're hearing. Thunder is air moving. This thing creates a bang at over 250 decibels. 250 decibels. If you were next to this thing when it went off, it would liquefy your organs and shatter your bones. Now, here's the thing. Have you ever been in a swimming pool and somebody taps the side of the pool? It's loud. It's really loud. See, water doesn't compress like air does. So if you set this thing off above ground, in the air, it would be loud, but you wouldn't hear it from that far away. But when you do it underwater, if there's a whale within 50 kilometers of that thing, when it goes off, there's a good chance that whale's going to be fucking deaf. Yeah. That's why we told them they couldn't use it. It's the cheapest, easiest way to get seismic charts. And we told them you can't use this. You can't. Because if there are any whales in the region when you set it off, you're going to kill them. Because whales need to be able to hear. You've heard of the clicking that whales make, the whale songs that they use to communicate with each other. They're telling each other, hey, there's food over here. They're telling each other, hey, there's predators over here. Those songs have meaning. And if they can't hear, they can't eat. Because there are no whale drive-thrus for them to go pick up food. They have to find it. They can't communicate with each other. The pods can't exist. And there's only 50 fucking Rice's whales left. So we said, don't do that. You're finding the oil anyways. It takes you a little bit longer and it costs a little bit more money, but you're finding it and you're passing those costs on to us anyways. So don't do that. Well, that's over. That's over. Boom. That's the new future. That's what they did. Is it going to make a difference on your gas prices? Nope. Not in the slightest. They're already drilling. This isn't the narrative they're spreading to your drunk uncle, where he's saying, you care more about the whales than you do about gas prices. Did you even know? No. But that's what the dark right is spreading right now. They're wagging the dog. And that's not the only one. We talked about this before. I'm going to cover a few others that we talked about before, because there's been a new ruling on the a new development on the mifepristone abortion front. About 60% of women that terminate pregnancies use mifepristone. And of the 60% that terminate pregnancies using mifepristone, they do it versus using Teladoc. They don't go in. They do this via Teladoc. If you haven't used Teladoc, I don't use Teladoc. I don't know, but a lot of people, apparently it's wildly popular. And these healthcare companies are pushing it like crazy, where you don't actually have to go in and see a doctor. You can just Zoom call with a doctor. They would give you a mifepristone prescription, and then they're, since they're all vertically integrated, they've got a pharmacy that's part of their payroll. They'll just mail it to you. Well, not anymore. Not anymore. They want to fight. They want to fight about abortion. Even though this really has nothing, this is birth control, not abortion. There is no fetus. When you can use mifepristone, there's no fetus. I mean, this is not about abortion, but they call it abortion. So they want the evangelicals to show up. They know the evangelicals are mad about grocery prices. They know the evangelicals are mad about putting gas in their car, and it's all over social media. So they really need that fight. They really need that fight. So what did they do? They just made it harder for women. They just made it harder for women. Now you can still, they remember they wanted this to be states' rights, man. So where most people live, I mean, in blue states, you absolutely can still, uh, be taken care of. You can. But if you live in a red state, they've just cut off your access. No teledoc for you. No mifepristone in the mail for you. None of that. But they really want this fight, man. This is going out through the churches. This is going out through the churches. They saved the babies. They saved them. They did. They did. Praise God and Jesus. Yeah. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. Apparently, again, this is something that you were melting down about. You were triggered, man. You were triggered instead of just disgusted. Instead of just disgusted. But yeah, it's wagging the dog. They're desperate. Prices, inflation is through the roof. The economy is collapsing. Everyone knows Trump is in the Epstein files more than Jesus Christ is mentioned in the Bible. More and more is coming out. He's failed on immigration. Even the right wing is looking at immigration for different reasons than you and I. We're looking at it over just the human aspect of it and being decent in the future. And we need young people. We can't breed our way out of our aging problem. We're looking at it for practical reasons. They're looking at it as a failure because he didn't set up enough death camps. There are no, they're pissed off because you weren't supposed to take my illegals, but you were supposed to take all the illegals. I mean, just stupid shit, man, that your drunk uncle's going to be telling you, that Cletus is going to be telling you. He owned you for on social. He owned you, man. You're so triggered. You and your Trump derangement syndrome, loving them illegal. Why don't you take all them illegals to your house like they're at his fucking house or something? You know what I mean? It's just stupid. It's stupid. And the dark right is injecting this into their social media. And I don't know if you've noticed, a key theme is in all of this, you are very upset. You're crying. I mean, I realize you don't even know most of this shit. If I hadn't told you, you wouldn't even have known they were doing this shit, but you're crying. They think they've owned you. They won. Rather than paying attention to the fact that gas prices are through the fucking roof. Well, it's not working. The polls aren't bearing out. People aren't following, you cannot, even Cletus, in those comments that you saw that I read for you earlier, even Cletus has to go to the gas station. Even Cletus has to go to the grocery store. So yeah, it's really not bearing out. So can you guess what the fight is today that they're trying to start? And I mean literally trying to start. The Trump regime has taken an action that I'm sure you haven't heard about today. You heard about because it doesn't really affect you. But I want to know how connected you are. Can you guess what old-timey classic issue that every single election cycle they bring up, they've taken action on to pick a fight today? because the others aren't working. I knew you'd get it. I knew you'd get it. I knew it. I knew you'd get it. I knew you'd. I love you people so much. Boom, right out the gate. First guess. Right out the gate. Right out. I knew you knew it. I knew you knew it. I knew you knew it. Yep, they did this. They did this. Mail order guns, baby. Mail order guns. And I'm talking about they're taking it down to the level of Facebook Marketplace. You can buy and sell guns, and I know they don't allow that on Facebook Marketplace, but you get the idea. You can just buy and you can just mail your guns anywhere now. It was highly, 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 highly regulated so that they could, stop it from being. You'd actually have to, it was somewhat of a throttle on this ridiculous the ridiculous amount of guns we sell in this country. But now you don't have to, you can't get medicine that your doctor would give you, ladies, because you don't want to be pregnant. You can't get birth control through the mail. You can't get mifepristone. You can't. Ooh, stomach's growling. You can't get mifepristone. Did that come through the mic? Did y'all hear that? That was loud enough. I heard that. My stomach is growling. I have to take Mrs. Texas Paul for some lunch. Yeah, you can't get mifepristone through the mail. You can't. But you can get a gun. You can. You can get a gun. That's Republicans for you, man. That's Republicans for you. You can't get birth control, ladies, but you can get you a 9mm if you want it. So just to be a little bit dark about this, to be clear, the message that the Republican Party is sending you is you can't get mifepristone to end the pregnancy forced upon you by your rapist, but you sure can get a gun to end your rapist. Yeah. We are not the same. We are not the same. We are just not the same. And folks, there's a few more things that we got to talk about that are just, we're just not the same. I don't even think we're the same species anymore. I don't. If you're a Republican, I just assume you're a Klan now. I just assume you're a Klan. I just assume you're a white supremacist, period. The minute you tell me you vote Republican, you're a white supremacist. You're in the Klan. You are. They moved forward with hyperspeed to end black districts across the South. The second the Supreme Court said, be as bigoted as you want to be, just don't say it out loud, and we won't touch you. As long as you say you're going after Democrats, you can redraw them districts all you want. That's why I'm not really worried about what's going on in Virginia. I want to read about what they're saying, their challenges to it. But if they're trying to say that it's an election glitch or whatever, then yeah, all Virginia has to do is redraw the map without holding a vote. Just don't hold a vote. because that was what they were hanging their hat on, is that there was they're saying that the time frame wasn't enough. I haven't read it. I haven't read it yet, so I'm speculating that that's what the Virginia Supreme Court hung its hat on. They don't even have to appeal it. Just redraw the map and say publicly, you're intentionally redrawing the map to go after Republicans. Because this is what's called cracking. This is what's called cracking. I don't know if you've ever heard that term before, but they go into a black district and they slice it up. This particular form of gerrymandering is called cracking, and they slice it up. That's what they just did in Memphis. That's what they just did in Memphis. And the Supreme Court made it legal. They made it legal. And the second they made it legal, they moved again at hyper speed to do this. Why? Because they are exactly who we have been telling you they all are. They're bigots. They're bigots. They want white only government, period. They want white only government. We are not the same. We are not the same. We all do better when we all do better. Everybody should have representation. Let's keep laws on the book that say you can't do that. Again, the law change was, it used to be, if you came up with, bigoted, unrepresented districts, instead of representing the people that live there, that was illegal. Now you have to prove the intent was to be bigoted. So all they have to do is just keep their mouth shut about why they're doing it, and they can do it. And you see how quickly they immediately did it. That's why I'm saying every blue state has to immediately gerrymander every Republican out of office. We have the numbers. Stop taking the fucking high road. They're showing you what they are. They are. And folks, I mean, it's just everything. Every day there's something new. Do you know, and I know this is just seem like a left turn, but it's not. It's not. Just stick with me. Do you know when the flipping thing, the flipping houses things, one of the things that came out of it that some people lost money over when they were flipping houses? Actually, they didn't lose money. It just, they didn't make as much as they had hoped they would. Do you know one of the things that came up because they were buying old houses dirt cheap and flipping them? It was, there's toxic materials in these houses. Asbestos. There was asbestos. My parents' house that I grew up in, the siding on the house was made out of asbestos. Yeah, it was. You had to keep it painted to keep the asbestos from affecting you. And you couldn't tear it off. Because I remember talking to my dad about that. I was like, Dad, why don't we just, get rid of it? He said, oh, no, son, you can't do that. We start ripping it off. That shit goes everywhere in the neighborhood. We're stuck with it. And this is the other one, lead paint. Yep. You know why paint is so expensive now? It's not just their gouging, which that is part of it. It's, they used to use lead. The pigments in it are just powdered metal in a suspension. That's what paint is. It's just powdered metal in a suspension. And at the base of it, they would use lead. Well, they changed that. If you get like white paint now, it's titanium. Or they use aluminum, or they're more expensive metals that aren't toxic to you. But all that lead paint is still there. It's still there. So when you bought an old house, sure, the last coat of paint may not have been lead, but there's lead underneath it. So you have to keep it painted. And if somebody comes to strip the paint off the house, you've got to tint the fucking house. It's expensive. It's expensive to keep that lead from going everywhere. So when you're talking about old houses just covered in lead paint, I know what your thought is. Your thought is, oh, cheap old, dilapidated hood houses, right? Right? No, man. No. It's any house of age, including the White House. The White House is covered in lead paint that's been painted over and sealed in. There is toxic shit all over the White House. But did they do it right? No, man, this is Trump. They did it cheap so they could maximize the profits, maximize the amount of money they could grift out of it. You saw it. They had track hose back there with hole rams on it, just ripping that building down. Nobody was in respirators. Nobody was in, they didn't tint it. They didn't cover it. They didn't prevent it. No, they just ripped that shit down, threw it in the back of dump trucks, drug it through Washington, D.C., and then dumped it on the public golf course in D.C., the only public golf course in D.C. And yeah, it's leaching into the soil. It's in the air. It's everywhere. One second. So yeah, I mean, it's not like one second. I mean, it's not like you have a vested interest in the only public golf course in Washington, D.C. becoming inhabitable, becoming a toxic shit pit. I mean, it's not like you own a private Washington, D.C. golf club. This is Trump's Washington, D.C. golf club. They didn't put that toxic shit here. Exactly. Lisa McBaron. It's also a public park, not just a golf club. But you know how the Republicans feel about public lands. You know how they feel about public land. No, that's Trump, Washington, D.C. He's got a private club there. We're not the same. We're not the same. We're just not the same. And you're not stupid. Did you know we still have a ceasefire in Iran, according to the president? Of course, yesterday we were shooting at each other. Our Navy was engaged with, their Navy. They were firing missiles at our destroyers. Trump had the brilliant idea of sending 3 of our destroyers through the Strait of Hormuz, and the Iranians opened fire on them. But yeah, apparently we're still in a ceasefire. A ceasefire that the Iranians have not even responded to. The Iranians have not even replied. Trump just claims it's in effect because he said so. Let that sink in. The Iranians have not yet replied to this ceasefire offer. But Trump, the media, Wall Street, everybody are talking about it as though, hey, there's a ceasefire. They're making major financial decisions based on this. Of course, oil's creeping back up. It had fallen down to, I believe, as low as 90, what is it, 93 a barrel? That's not low. That's very fucking high. But yeah, it's creeping back up because reality has kicked back in that, oh yeah, Iran hasn't even responded to this ceasefire overture that Trump claims is in effect when we're shooting at each other. Yeah, oil's climbing right back up. But it fell. It was like 104. People really made massive financial decisions. I want you to let that just let it fucking soak into your soul. People that are supposed to be intelligent, they're supposed to be the ones you're trusting with your finances. Major banks bought and sold oil contracts based on Trump saying there's a ceasefire, and the Iranians had not even responded. This is the times we live in, people. I mean, this is the times we live in. Apparently, again, you are triggered and outraged and just falling apart. You're so upset about everything Trump's doing that you don't even know he's doing unless I show you that he's doing it. But these fucking people, I mean, these people are making massive financial decisions with not just their money, your money, based on just made up shit. just an acceptance that, yeah, oh yeah, Trump said there's a ceasefire. There's a ceasefire. It's insanity. It's insanity. We got a couple more things to talk about, but I want to catch up on these comments. I'm way behind. Stick with me. Rena Scott, we need every Democrat to get out there and vote like there are no districting maps. We can do this. Yeah, we can. They're making a huge calculation. They're creating purple districts that they think that there are lean Republican. These are not lean Republican districts. They are not. They are not. Sally S24. Don't forget Trump decimated the pandemic task force. Yep. Yep. Spicy Jester. Thanks, Texas Paul, for bringing truth to light. My wife was laid off and Trump's economy is crushing us. I am very sorry to hear that. I am very sorry to hear that. That's the reality of this. When I think about that every time I talk about that in the economy, this is not politics. This is people's lives. This is why when people talk about fuck them farmers, they voted for Trump. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on, Hoss. That's your food you're talking about. We're going to have to take a different tack. Wish I could donate more. Tired of crying every day. Please vote Democrat before it's too late. Brother, I hear you, man. And for God's sake, if you're having hard times, I will do this show if you don't donate. I promise. Please put your own gas mask on first so that we can get to the other side of this. Love you, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you. LJ Jones. Gifted a membership. There you go, brother. Chandra Patton. P.T. Barnum was right. There's a sucker born every minute. MAGA and trumpets. Yep. Jesper Jensen, good to see you. This weekend, I'm off the internet going back in time to the year 1426 reenactment at the Middle Ages. No Donald Trump for 2 days. You doing the Renaissance Fair? What are you doing, brother? I need to go to a Renaissance Fair. If y'all have never been to a Renaissance Fair, for God's sake, go. They are so much fun. They are so much fun. New West Bill, I got my cup. I will be okay if you go on break for a while. Thank you so much for your words. I'm going to take some time off here in the next couple of weeks. I am. ET, it's just going to be, you're going to go to tune in. There ain't going to be a show. And you're like, damn, wonder what happened. I'm going to be back there digging is what I'm going to be doing. ET, messaging people, affordability instead of culture wars, Citizens United instead of APAC. Are you ready to get involved? When we do the work, it gets done. I want to address that APAC comment there. I am with you 100% on we have to end Israel's influence over our government. We do. I won't say limit. I'll say end it. We cannot have these purity tests. There's too much on the line. We have to elect Democrats and then do the work to make sure those Democrats get to where we are. We have to. No voter suppression, no telling people not to vote, no disqualifying people. If they are the Democrat on the ballot, we support them. We do. I'm with you, brother. I am with you. We will do the work. We will do the work. I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you to do the work. As long as Netanyahu and the insane right is still, they've got elections in October, then Israel better shock the fucking world. If not, I will be standing there right next to you to absolutely end Israel's influence over our government. DTQ 7119, Bernie Sanders recently posted that oil companies are taking advantage of the war to increase their prices more. He pointed out that in March of 2011 per barrel was the same price now, but gas is $3.51 per gallon. Opinion. Don't make me talk bad about Bernie. Don't. Okay, I'm not talking bad about Bernie. Bernie is doing an incredibly politically astute thing. He's doing what Republicans do. He is taking advantage of your anger and he's saying something that is adjacent to the truth. There's a kernel of truth in what he's saying. There is a difference between then and now. Not just the basic difference that the last time they're talking about the spike in oil that they blamed on Joe Biden was because the oil disruptions from Russia and the war in Ukraine. It was the invasion of Ukraine and the escalation of the war there. That off the table. That's not what we're talking about. Just the commodity pricing. Here, look. Let me pull up wholesale gasoline prices. See what they're doing right now. I'm going to explain the difference. Great question. Great freaking question. Yep, still climbing. I was watching this all night yesterday, still climbing today. Thank you for bringing this up, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. And kudos to Bernie for talking about it. You know, and I get it. He's doing what I tell them to do. Still climbing. Still climbing. This is wholesale gasoline prices. This is the stuff, the spot prices that they pay before it, gets the additives and everybody buys their own brand and ships it out to their own, that's the wholesale. Look, the difference is, and let me say, he's right about the general gist of it. But here's the major difference. The amount of oil that got taken off the table, the 20% that we lost from this stupidity that was by choice for Netanyahu, and because Trump was in trouble and wanted to wag the dog and have the whole rockets red glare, bombs bursting in air, rah-rah moment that never happened. This was different. What you're seeing is oil companies, and this is a hard concept for people to really accept. Even smart people have a difficult time accepting this because just the basic concept that the more money you make, the better it is, right? That's not it. Oil companies have made a science out of pricing their products, and they know. There was that show Landman that was so wildly popular. There was a monologue there that he talked about oil prices. And he said, at $90 a barrel, we're still printing money. And people didn't really understand that he was saying that they're losing money at they're not making as much money at $90 a barrel as they are if, say, it's $70 a barrel or $80 a barrel. Because what happens is people stop buying it. There's a point when people stop buying your product. It's too expensive. There's not going to be any more fun trips anywhere. Gas is too expensive. And oil companies know that. They know when it reaches a certain point. And then he says, when it gets over $100 a barrel, the price of everything in this country, everything in this country gets a price reset. And he was talking about inflation. Oil companies know this, and they don't want these prices. And remember, it's global. It's not just the United States. They don't want these prices to the point that you go buy an EV. They don't want that math to make sense. They don't. They don't want you to cut back for an extended amount of time and learn how to do without driving. Way back in the day, oil companies bought up, there used to be trolleys in like every city. We're talking way back in like the 1800s. There used to be like trolleys in every city. And from the late 1800s to the 1900s, oh man, you people are so on it. You are so on it. Oil companies bought those. They bought them. They bought them from every municipality. And you know what they did? They ripped the tracks up. Yeah, they did. So that you would go out and buy a car. Yeah, because they understand. If you get in a situation where you cannot use their product for a sustained period of time, you will adjust forever how you use their product. They know this and they're terrified. So what are they doing? We're not getting the worst of it here in the US. That's another one that people have a hard time wrapping their heads around. We caused this, we're the reason for it, but we're not the ones getting the worst of it. Europe, and ask our members of our European audience. They're paying as much for a liter of gasoline as you're paying for a gallon. They call it petrol. They're paying as much for a liter of petrol as you're paying for a gallon. So what are we doing? Oil companies are taking your refined products, your gasoline, your diesel, and they're putting it on boats and they're sending it out as fast as they possibly can to try to keep those prices from continuing to rise in those markets. They're putting their finger on the scale. They're raising our prices to try to bring these prices down a little bit. And that's why this isn't sustainable. They know it's not sustainable. They know it has to end. They're doing everything they can to end this. And I hope I was clear on that and why. So yeah, Bernie's telling the truth, but it's also not exactly true. Oil companies aren't raising the prices here just to gouge you, just to get more money out of you. They're losing money. They're literally cutting their profit margins. At $75, $80 a barrel, they're in their sweet spot. Gas stations are making their maximum profit. They're getting like 20 cents a gallon in profit. At these prices, they've had to cut their profit down. So they're making 10 cents a gallon, 12 cents a gallon now because the price is so high. They're doing what they can to try to keep it from taking off. And on top of it, they're selling less of it. So yeah, oil companies aren't really happy right now. Not all segments are making a fortune off these these oil prices. They're just not. It's complicated. It's really complicated. It's not simple. And to try to talk about it, people's eyes glaze over, and you know what I mean? So yes, Bernie is right there, but he's kind of fibbing a little bit. He is. He's kind of fibbing a little bit. Yeah, big oil companies, Tiger Butterfly, big oil companies that you think of, like Exxon and Shell, and they're making bank. They are. They're making bank on these oil prices, but they also know the volume of sales is falling. They know that sure they're going to get a bump, but they also know in the future it's dropping. They're looking, like we looked at those fields that they're developing out in the Gulf, that picture I showed you. They're looking into the future and seeing what's best in the future. And they want these prices down. They want them, they do. $80 a barrel, $75 to $80. That's their sweet spot right now. That's what they want. I hope I answered your question. I hope I did. I hope I answered your question. Let's get back to the comments. That was a great question, by the way. I love the fact that you folks just open these things up. This was a great question. It was that you open up these conversations. That's why it's so important what we're doing here. Skeet Sayre, last time they drilled in the Gulf of Mexico, God blew it out of the water and sent algae to eat the oil. They're drilling like crazy, babe. They're drilling like crazy. They never stop drilling. And again, Deepwater Horizon was not a failure. They found what they were looking for. ET, when you start getting flailing narratives, yep. F-Cat, love to see the new people. I love your hair, by the way. Love your hair. I love that when I see somebody with like really cool hair like that, In some countries, the coup is the election. Tell me about it. Skeet said, military sonar is the most dangerous to our whale cousins. Their song is beautiful. Yep. Yep. It, a lot of decibels to make that active sonar work, man. It takes a lot of energy. Kyra. Kyra loves Michael. Thank you for being so generous. Thanks for gifting the memberships. Skeet Sayre, this is the saddest we are supposed to be good to each other. These people make you think primary school is foolish. It is infuriating to see how evil. We are not the same. It is not the same. Mifepristone is used like a DNC, not plan B. Tiger Butterfly reports are saying that Iran was able to safely retrieve one fully intact unexploded bunker buster from Zanjan province. 4 HBU 57s used. One did not explode. USS Zumwalt fire aboard. 3 injured, 1 in the hospital. Yeah, we're not getting reports. I don't know if you noticed this. We're not getting reports out of the Gulf. There was massive damage to our bases in the Gulf that did not get reported. It's coming. The mill bloggers are the ones that are getting it out. If you, if you're, I don't, you've got to be following that portion of social media, the military bloggers. Um, they're the ones getting that information out. Our government's just flat out lying about these exchanges. That's why I'm so hesitant. You notice I didn't report on any casualties, anything hit, anything, because our government flat out lies to us. ET, part of the 7 mountains of dominion. Yeah, that whole movement is Marshall Cash, no one is illegal on stolen land. Shut up, Paul. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. All land is stolen. All of it. It's all stolen. Shut up, Paul. Okay. Richard Lawton, thanks for breaking this all down for us. There isn't a square inch of land that wasn't taken from somebody by somebody. There just isn't. It's all stolen. It is all stolen. Canyon Diva, Forest Service is saying they'll use planes to spray glyphosate over northern counties to reduce wildfires. You might not burn, but your kids will get cancer. You know what's going on right now in California? You know Del Monte went bankrupt, right? If you're like me, you like sliced peaches, you may not be aware of this, but Del Monte went belly up. All of the farmers that used to contract with them are in deep trouble. They are in deep trouble. And right now, our government is paying those farmers to cut down their peach trees. We're talking about mature producing peach trees. Right now in the state of California, they're cutting down 480,000 mature producing peach trees. That's happening right now because Del Monte went bankrupt. That's why I'm telling you, we have to take, even though I am ride or die, right here, baby, ride or die. Even though I'm ride or die, even though I say we have to elect Democrats, listen, I am never going to sit here and promise you that our work is done, that we can just forget things. We don't. We have to grab a hold of the Democratic Party and pull left. Because that type of corporate situation, that type of capitalistic creation should never happen. In a country where there are people that are hungry, we're literally destroying farms for capitalism. That's happening Today. They are ripping those trees out by the roots. And it's heartbreaking. It's just fucking heartbreaking. Boulder crypto is a fix your own damn lunch. Jeez, I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by that. If you're talking about me taking my wife out to lunch, let me just tell you politely, mind your own fucking business. You don't know what's going on in my house. You don't know how hard my wife's been working. She deserves a lunch. If you're talking about me, if that was now, if I'm reading that wrong, I'm sorry. I apologize deeply. But if that was a shot at me about taking my wife to lunch, something I said earlier, mind your business, brother. Mind your business. Veggie Owl Girl. Now I'm able to own a gun. Turns out before I wasn't able to because I had a payee, still not getting one. Yeah, but apparently you're very upset about this. ET, Pack and Crack, Jim Crow 2.0, new red line next. Yep. Absolutely. This is who they are. They're telling you who they are. If they're in the GOP, they're in the Klan. Ethan Vinsky. I live in an area where if people have a few bucks burning in their pockets, they'll buy a pew pew. Myself, I buy an axe. Be careful looking for a guitar. The equation is guitars you need equal guitars you have plus one. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, brother. I want to ask you a question. You guitar people, help me out here. And I was talking about McCarty. That McCarty did some consulting for. One second. Let me pull it up for you. Stick with me, folks. Stick with me. But Paul Reed Smith opened PRS guitars. This is why I'm looking at a PRS Silver Sky. And Paul McCarty, who worked with, was part of the development of all of, worked with Les Paul and did some consulting with him. Santana works with him, this, that, and the other. But this is what I want to ask you a question about. I'm sorry, I'm getting off the left field. This is what I'm asking. All right. I love my old Gibson. I do. I love my old Gibson. I really do. It actually sounds really good. But you know what? This thing's freaking huge, man. I have to play it like a shredder, like this. Let me pull this comment down so you can see what I'm doing here. I've got to play it like a shredder. Instead of sitting over here, it's like uncomfortable. So I'm going to get me basically a PRS Strat is what I'm going to get me. So it's more comfortable to play. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't want to play the acoustic guitar. I don't. Am I going? And everybody keeps telling me I've got to master the acoustic before I go pick up an electric guitar. I'm thinking bullshit. I want a smaller guitar. I love this guitar. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to work on it. I'm still going to learn to play. I'm still, I'm doing my reach drills now. I'm doing my reach drills every day. I'm doing my reach drills, but yeah. Am I going wrong there? Email me. Anyway, sorry for going left field. I promise that's it. We're not turning into a guitar show. But Lady Di, Trump's son has invested in online business selling guns and ammo. Grab a gun and rename it Amazon Guns and avoid going through licensed gun dealers to mail guns bought online. Yeah, they're really they're trying to create that fight. They are 14 cutie baby. I mean, if they don't want to listen to the people will burn it down. Have you seen the recent warehouse arson tracker? You're not far off there. You're really not. You're really not far off there. Wise leaders throughout history have understood: keep your people fed, keep your people safe, keep your people housed. They will entertain themselves. They will do the things to make society flourish. It's the people that do that. But you take care of the basics, make sure that that's all taken care of. These Republicans are so greedy that that's just too much for them. That's just too much. Just taking care of the basics is too fucking much for them. New West Bill, can you say class action lawsuit? Yeah. E.T., the newest form of the band played on. E.T., they're working to further centralize big money. Buck Wild, Buckshot, good to see you. How are you supposed to live with people like this when all they do is destroy everything we care about, even if it means their own destruction? That's a great question. And I'm going to pause. MAGA is slowly starting to realize what they've done. Slowly. They're starting to realize that they're out of our lives. They thought it was fun. They thought they triggered you. They thought you were upset. They thought they were, they're starting to realize that no, they're just gone. You're blocking them on social media. You don't interact with them. You don't want to hear them. The stupid shit is just not accepted. And that's not fun. They were supposed to be owning you. And really, they're just fucking lonely now. And they don't want to sit and talk to each other. That is punishment. They want to engage with you. They want to, just insult you to make themselves feel better. They really don't like the fact that we're just like, get the fuck out of here. Nobody wants you here. It is very different. It used to be that way. It used to be, we wanted to argue ideas. We wanted to talk about it. It's over. Or am I wrong about that? Because that's what I'm seeing from everybody. We're done. There is no we anymore. There's no, we're going to get through this and this. No, you are MAGA. You are MAGA forever. You might as well carve a fucking swastika in the middle of your forehead, Aldo Reigns, because we're done with you forever. I don't know. I don't claim to know everything, have a crystal ball, but I really feel like this future is very, very, very different. ET, it is less than 26 weeks until the general election. Verify your voter registration and deadline dates. Know your early voting dates. Get involved. Kyra says, why do the markets continue to let Rump gaslight them? They're stupid. They are imbeciles. These are not big picture, bright people. These are old, white, arrogant bigots for the most part. Yeah. This is not the leadership class. Uncle Fatty, grab your fact back and hold the line. Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. Uncle Fatty, no stormtroopers allowed at the Renaissance Fair. Man, you get some right-wingers there, but for the most part, no, it's just cool-ass people, man. It's just cool-ass people. Jesper Jensen, EV sales here in Denmark are going crazy. People don't want gas or diesel cars anymore. Yeah. And China has been brilliant. China is all over EV development. Yeah. They're not like us. They aren't like us, where the Republicans just say, you can't have that. Bunzo, 1969. Pot is state legal in Michigan. I live in a federal building and can't use it on the property. Now you can buy guns by mail, but not allowed to have guns in a federal building. How does this work? Yeah, they're not thinking this through. They're not thinking any of this through. All of it is bait. All of it is bait. That's all it is. Omniscient Sphinx. I'm going to see more EVs and hybrids out now. Yes, you are. Yeah, you are. Because these gas prices aren't going down anytime soon. Sergeant Flux, remember, humans are an evasive species. Silly Bebo. They want to build a 13 building data center campus on over 800 acres of land in an agricultural area in Red Oak, Texas. I'm going to the meeting on Monday evening, 7 p.m. after I join the protest. Yeah. Everybody that can do the math is screaming to anybody that will listen that this is the Titanic, that there is no feasible way to get a return on investment on any of this shit. None. They just Nvidia's taken a hit on its stock price over that. People that are actually it is actually cheaper to hire a human right now than it is to buy the computing power to run AI. This is stupidity in the extreme. User, thank you, Paul, for all you do. Very grateful to have found your channel. I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. Robert Walsh, thanks for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Agent Cajun, get a 335 semi-acoustic Epiphone. I don't play that guitar like I should because it is huge, man. It is fucking, I'm literally hunched over it trying to strum it, and I don't like the way it feels. I just don't. And everybody keeps telling me, I went to the fucking music store. And I'm like, hey, show me guitars. I want to look at something. I was thinking, I love the old classic country stuff. Maybe get one of those old Chet Atkins Gretches, you know what I mean? Something like that. Because it's a little thinner. It's not quite as uncomfortable. Dude didn't even want to show me an electric guitar. He's like, oh, you're just learning? You need to start with an acoustic. Motherfucker, what? Sell me a fucking guitar. God damn, man. I was so put off by that. I really was. Nick Bassey's like a beautiful woman. Guitars come in all shapes and sizes. Play the one that fits your jam. See, that's what players are telling me. That's what people that play are telling me. And in fact, I found one guy that I follow online. I was talking, and I promise this is not going to turn into Texas Paul's guitar show. I promise you it's not. He said, when picking a guitar, because I've been, do I want a Les Paul? Do I want a Strat? What kind of guitar do I want? And a lot of people had technical answers about, oh, well, this guitar is really good. What kind of music are you going to play? And, buy the guitar that fits the music you want to play, this, that, and the other. And man, I found the best answer. The best answer I've ever heard is buy the guitar that excites you. Buy the one that excites you. Buy the one that you want to look at. Buy the one that you want to touch when you walk in the room, because that's the one you'll practice on. Quit when you're first starting. You're not going to be Stevie Ray Vaughan. You're not going to be, and this isn't your last guitar. Buy the one that will make you fucking practice. And I thought that was genius, man. Genius. And I quit stressing about it so bad because I was spending like hours researching, well, what kind of music do I want to play? What do I really want to, you know what I mean? I mean, I love country, but I really like, I really like the blues. Stevie Ray Vaughan's, man. I mean, that's where I want to be in 15 years. Billy Gibbons, that's where I want to be. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I told you, I promise. Not going to be the guitar show. Mandolio, Texas Paul, what about a YouTube jam session with Tennessee Brando? Yeah, I'm telling you. Oh, by the way, Brando sent me a gift. He sent me a gift. This is from Brando. I love it, man. He's come out with his own coffee cups. I love it. Love it. Under construction for now. I'm getting ready to buy a 3/4 size classical guitar. It took me a very long time to realize that's what I've needed all along. Yeah. Yeah, man. This thing's beautiful, plays wonderful. The neck is thinner, so I don't. You notice I don't have those long ass Eric Clapton fingers. So a thinner neck is great, but it's just fucking huge, man. Jeff Schuler, you're exactly right. I quit arguing with MAGA morons long ago. There's a lot better ways to spend my time. Amen, brother. Amen. Gail Brownell, our government just out Antifa on the terrorist watch, put Antifa on the terrorist watch list. Call your Congress critters and ask them what their official position on this fascism. Fuck them. I'm Antifa. I'm Antifa. Right here. I'm your Antifa. I'm anti-fascist as fuck. Paula W., there is talk about us starting a class action. About what specifically? Sergeant Flux, I meant humans are an invasive species. We either steal land from other humans or other living organisms, which is what invasive species do. I hear what you're saying, but that's all species. We all have territory. We do. We fight over where we can feed and what we do. We're evolving into a species that doesn't want to do that anymore, which is where we need to go. But we're not going to get there with listening to these people on the right. We're not. We're just not going to do it. I am going to buy a PRS Silver Sky. I am going to. That I've made up my mind. I've made up my mind. That's what I'm going to do. Y'all want to see what a PRS Silver Sky is? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. But look, I always end every show with, you've got to be involved. You've got to get involved. You've got to stay involved. This just happened. Yes, there's the leftward push, but things are painful. Things are hurting. People are hurting. Things are uncomfortable. And that's not good for the government in power. Sure, the Republicans are the government in power here, but this is just testimony to who people are. Keir Starmer's not responsible for any of this mess, but he took a beating. And if you don't believe me when I tell you, you are different. You have to be aware you are not the same as these people. And I could prove it, because there are people that voted in UK elections that thought this fucking guy was their answer. Look at these people standing behind him. They really think Nigel Farage is an answer. He's not. He's not. But yet, in these areas that are traditionally, this is all, around Newcastle and all of this. This is Hartlepool and all these areas. This is Labor's stronghold. Reform Party just killed it in their elections that they just had, in local elections. It's not national election. It's local elections. We're talking, what you would consider mayors and councilmen and things like that. And it happened because people are hurting. People are uncomfortable because of what Trump did. We have to be mindful. This messaging that they're pushing out, it can grab a hold because people aren't like you. They're not involved. They don't have information. They react on how things feel. California, perfect example. That's a blue state. Shit's getting uncomfortable. So we have to be aware. You know, there's a lot of people out there. We've got to win that messaging fight, or they're going to blame the people in charge, even though the Democrats in California have nothing to do with why things are shitty right now. We got to do the work, man. We've got to do the work. None of this is guaranteed. None of this is guaranteed. And folks, this is why one of the major reasons we cannot lose this. There's no way around this. U.S. debt tops 100% of GDP. Our debt is now larger than our gross domestic product. That means we got tough choices coming up. That means things are going to have to change about how we spend our money, where we spend our money, our taxes. All of that's going to change in the future. Who do you want making those choices? Do you want Republicans? You want bigots? You want people that don't give a shit making those choices? Or do you want Democrats making those choices? Because right now, we Democrats, we don't control a single branch of government. Not one. Republicans control all three. I think before we're forced into making the changes that are coming our way, we damn well better put Democrats in charge of at least two of those branches of government. At least. Because right now, the Republicans are telling you they don't give a shit, man. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing with cracking black districts. They don't care if you see they're a bunch of fucking bigots. They don't care. We got to do the work. We can't allow ourselves to be divided. No more purity tests. We have to put Democrats in power. We have to. I know I end every show with this, but I'm going to end every show with this. We have to put Democrats in power. You got to be ride or die. And you got to be willing to tell people, hey, yeah, man, this is me. This is who I am. I'm a Democrat. I wear the jersey. Because there are people out there that aren't like you. Bandwagon effect works. It works. Too many people on our side don't realize that we're not just talking to each other. Yeah, we can argue high-minded ideals. We can argue about where we think the future should go and where we think amongst ourselves. But that doesn't work with people that don't pay attention to a fucking thing. All you're doing is suppressing their votes. All you're doing is showing them division. All you're doing is giving them a reason to look at the Democratic Party and say, fuck you. You can't do that, man. You got to put the fucking jersey on. You got to say, woo, I'm a proud Democrat. You got to do it. You got to do it. It's our only way out of this. It's our only way out of this. Because if not, 6 years from now, 8 years from now, when it's nut cutting time and we're having to make major fucking changes over our debt, do you want Republicans to or do you want people with your values? Thank you for all the support. Thank you for being here. And on that note, enjoy some Texas cities at night.